Frank Boggus was born August 16, 1928, in Brownsville, Texas. Most of his childhood was spent in Harlingen after his father bought the Ford Motor dealership in 1933. Education became the focal point of Frank's early years. He played halfback for the Harlingen High School football team and earned a letter while on the varsity team. His sweetheart, Peggy Jean Long, eventually became his wife. After graduating from high school in 1945, Frank enrolled at Texas A&M University at College Station. He remains a faithful Aggie alumnus. He served in the United States Air Force and attained the rank of first lieutenant.
You know, talking about Frank Boggus is somewhat of a labor of love because what can you say about him that he hasn't done voluntarily as far as charitable contributions, as far as business contributions, but I think that I'd like to rifle in on some of the areas that he has done that put people to work in this community. Not only this community, but in all of South Texas and for that matter, northern Mexico. His family, going back to his dad, were always involved in the economic development of Harlingen, South Texas, and especially Rio Grande Valley. I can cite numerous areas where the Boggus family has contributed time and effort and political clout on a national and state level to bring new jobs to our area. I can cite most of the buildings out here were a result of his determination to get James Conley Technical Institute to move from Waco down to Harlingen to take over some of these buildings here. He, along with other leadership in this community, wrote legislation that would establish Texas State Technical Institute, hence now Texas State Technical College. He was instrumental in bringing the Marine Military Academy here. At that time, we had to raise about $50,000 to put seed money into moving it from Prescott, Arizona to Harlingen, Texas. And although Robert Ferris Sr. was more instrumental in it, Frank Boggus was right there with the team working, trying to get that stuff done. I can cite numerous industries: Spartan Aviation, which we know today as Lockheed Martin, Fruit of the Loom, which is now Cordon out there out on 509. All of these types of economic development activities, he was always in the mix of them. I don't think we could have done anything in this community during his tenure as chairman of my board when I was president of the chamber without his input, without his business knowledge, and without the culture of running a community just like he would run his business. I've always said that the only way that you can have people run the community is that if they go home and talk to their wives and say, you know, we're either going to have to cut expenses or increase sales, or we're going to have to close up shop. And if you can treat your community like Frank has done over the years, just like that, then we should have no problems and have growth and prosperity for years and years and years to come. So besides just being a philanthropist as far as the charitable things in the South Texas area, you got to look at the thousands of jobs and the thousands of people he has been directly and indirectly involved in what I call not only new jobs, but jobs that have increased a good salary base. And no cliche is that we worked hard to give everybody in our community an equal opportunity to be gainfully employed. I think that's a legacy that I like to look at Frank Boggus on, is that he has indeed, through his involvement and his political structure, has given every citizen in Harlingen, Texas, an equal opportunity to be gainfully employed.
After completing his military obligations, he officially began the tour of duty with the family business at the Boggus Ford dealership in McAllen. Eventually, he achieved promotions to become general manager of Boggus Ford in Harlingen and then chairman of the board.
Well, Mr. Frank Boggus is a wonderful gentleman who is so well known in this community and has been such a vital part of the growth and development of young people through our Boys and Girls Club program. In my more than 33 years as director of the Boys and Girls Clubs, I've had many opportunities to approach Mr. Boggus and ask him for his support and help for a number of projects. He has yet to turn me down. He supported our new teen center. He supported the building of our new gymnasium when we added it, our outdoor courts, our skate park. Virtually every part of construction that we've done, he has been a supporter of it and has contributed both his energy, his willingness to call other people, and of course his personal commitment. Mr. Boggus is a man of great trust and a man of great honor in our community. I'm proud to know him not just as a benefactor, but as a true friend. Harlingen has no greater ambassador, Harlingen has no greater friend than my good friend, Frank Boggus.
Frank Boggus was named 2010 Border Texan of the Year for Borderfest in Hidalgo, and his name appears on the Harlingen Rotary Club's Walk of Fame as one of the community's most influential leaders during the city's first 100 years.
I'm here today to talk about an individual who I feel is continues to and always will give to his community, and I'm speaking in reference to Mr. Frank Boggus. He's a gentleman that has been a key figure for the Salvation Army for years and years. He has actually been an advisory board member since the 1960s. He's been instrumental in many things that the Salvation Army has either envisioned doing for the future or even in our growth. He was instrumental in providing ways, and not just monetarily, but involving the community to encourage as we went to a bigger thrift store in downtown Harlingen, Texas. He was instrumental in helping us acquire and again do a capital campaign when we acquired our administration building. And today he continues to give and give unselfishly to the Salvation Army. He is always giving of his time. He always serves. He's willing to serve. And you know, we sometimes look at the monetary value of what someone gives, but he gives of his heart. Every year he participates in our kettle drive. He goes out and bell rings for us at the local Walmart, and he really epitomizes what people should be doing for their communities, giving back with their resources. We should all be willing to give back something to our community. Mr. Frank Boggus has been, I know for a fact, instrumental in a lot of organizations throughout the community. We talk about the Salvation Army, but I know that he's been there for the Boys and Girls Club. He's been there for Loaves and Fishes. He continues, again, to be the type of person I honestly know and believe that he is a very humble man who willingly gives of his time, service, and of his resources to give back to the community that he lives in. And if many have never said it, I say it today, boldly and strongly. Thank you, Mr. Frank Boggus, for being the individual you are, giving of your heart and of your time and of your service to your community. We thank you for everything you do.
I think about Frank Boggus, I think about the words of Jesus. Jesus said, "To whom much is given, much is expected." I've known Frank for about 4 years. I've been associated with him through our Bible classes, have witnessed his love for Jesus and for the Bible. I've known him through my work at Loaves and Fishes as well, and seen how he has supported this important and vital ministry to the poor. As a matter of fact, they tell me that when Loaves and Fishes was opened 20 years ago, among the first people to be serving the meals were Frank Boggus, along with many friends. He's kept that commitment over 20 years to Loaves and Fishes, to his Christian faith, to the Harlingen community. He's kept that commitment by his generosity, by his wise counsel to Christian friends, by his love for the community, and his love for organizations like Loaves and Fishes. Most of you know Mr. Boggus as a community leader, as a businessman, as a political leader. I've really only known him as a Christian brother, as a man who loves to share his faith in Jesus and is very earnest and anxious for other people to get to know Jesus as well. I'm very happy that even though I've only gotten to know this man in the later years of his life, that I have in fact gotten to know him, and that he's been to me a friend.
He has unselfishly and humbly helped guide organizations such as the Harlingen Economic Development Corporation, Valley International Airport, the Harlingen School Board, Harlingen Area Educational Foundation, Boy Scouts of America, the Matamoros Children's Home, Valley Baptist Medical Center, and the Valley Baptist Foundation.
Good evening. I first met Frank Boggus in April of 1967, 43 years ago. Over the years, he and I have served together on many committees and boards, such as United Way, Airport Board, Economic Development, and too many others to name. One thing that I have found about Frank Boggus is that he is a devout follower of Jesus Christ, and he lives his life with just truth and wisdoms according to the good book. Frank, over the years, has been a great asset and servant of our community. He is always there to help those in need. And indeed, Frank is the same today as he was yesterday, and I know he'll be tomorrow. Most things in life change, but Frank has not changed. Frank is the same person that he was and is and will be tomorrow. Frank, we thank you so very much for everything that you have done for our community. The night is your night. Enjoy it, and God bless you.
When it comes to describing a 70-year friendship or 75-year friendship, it's pretty hard to do it in a few minutes. A lot has to be left out, but I'll do my best to cover some of the highlights. I first met Frank Boggus in the summer of 1935 when we were both 7 years old and lived a half a block from each other. We entered James Bowie Elementary that fall and have been friends ever since. Our principal was a young M.H. Connolly, who seemed to get promoted every time we advanced a grade or two, until finally he was our high school principal and later superintendent of all Harlingen schools. There was an incident on the playground one time when Frank and I were in about the 4th grade that involved an acquaintance of ours. We were summoned into the principal's office to describe what happened. Since neither of us wanted to inform on a friend, we both refused to talk about it. Mr. Connolly immediately got out his big paddle and gave us each a good whack. That was in the days when corporal punishment was acceptable and popular. I always admired M.H.'s courage because at that time Frank's father was president of the school board. I later learned that when Mr. Boggus heard about it, he just laughed. When we graduated, Frank went to Texas A&M, while I went to the University of Texas at Austin. They didn't have any girls at A&M at that time, so I couldn't figure out why anyone would want to go there. On numerous weekends, Frank was either visiting his girlfriend and future wife Peggy at San Marcos, or he might bring a station wagon full of Aggies to Austin and move in on me. There were Aggies sleeping all over the floor of my little room. The first thing they would say when getting out of the car was, "Where are the girls? Can you get me a date?" I knew a few girls, but couldn't supply a whole platoon. Frank is one of the best friends a person can have. When there is a crisis or a death in the family, Frank is among the first people on the scene to offer his concern and his condolences. Frank is a devoted family man. For the past 50 years, he has been, in my opinion, Harlingen's #1 citizen. I just hope we both have a few more good years on this earth to enjoy our friendship in this beautiful city of Harlingen. And Frank, no matter who wins the Aggie Longhorn game on Turkey Day, I hope we'll still be friends.
His boundless energy and leadership to civic causes through volunteer work for numerous community service organizations and to education are among the many reasons Mr. Frank Boggus was named the 2010 TSTC Noche de Gala honoree.